Hello, and welcome back to our study of A Course in Miracles. I'm Danny Spendlove, and we are starting chapter 5 today. It is titled Healing and Wholeness, and it has an introduction. It's only 3 paragraphs, so this will be a comparatively short video. Are any of my videos truly short? I don't know. Paragraph 1. To heal is to make happy. I feel like that line right there is powerful. To heal is to make happy. I have told you to think how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself, and how many you have refused. This is the same as telling you that you have refused to heal yourself. The light that belongs to you is the light of joy. Radiance is not associated with sorrow. Joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. And I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I already read the next section, section 1, and it talks a little bit more about integration. But I just feel like it didn't make sense when I read this without knowing that. So I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek. So joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. What does that mean? So integration is talking about the mind, because right now our mind is split, right? There's the higher mind that is associated with the spirit, and then the lower mind, which is the ego's domain. And so this separation that we think we have is really just our mind being split and part of our mind dissociating from the spirit and the higher mind that is always connected to God and has never left God and will never leave God. And so this joy, which comes from healing, because to heal is to make happy, so healing is associated with joy, or joy with healing. Joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it. So once you are healed and whole, and that your mind has fully integrated, then you have this integrated desire to share it. Like you want to help all the other minds heal, and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. So we are technically one with all of God's creations. And so we have this natural impulse to respond as one, all of us together, to respond to truth. And so joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it, to share the joy, and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. Those who attempt to heal without being wholly joyous themselves call forth different kinds of responses at the same time, and thus deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. So this is saying, if you're attempting to heal but you're not wholly joyous, that means that you're not healed. And I want to say, I don't think that you have to be like 100% every little thing is healed in you before you can help others. I think it's a moment, I don't know, but I wonder if it's a moment by moment thing that, we kind of heal to the point where we're ready, as much as we can. And then we kind of have a little respite and like things are pretty good. And then the next thing is brought to our awareness of like, oh, and now we got to work on that thing. Like I thought I was good. I thought I was done. And now there's another layer or whatever. And so I think when we attempt to heal without being wholly joyous ourselves, it's in that moment, if we're not wholly joyous, and our pain and our lack of integration, right? Our mind is still very split and we're still very much in the ego, because only the ego can create suffering and pain and fear, right? So if we're not wholly joyous, we're more in our ego mind than in our higher mind. And like it said, joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. So if we're not fully joyous and we're trying to heal others, then we deprive them the joy of responding wholeheartedly, because this impulse to respond as one, if you don't have joy, there's not that impulse. We're not going to respond as one in fear or in pain. I mean, in ways, like lower ways, we do. Sometimes we rally around shared pain or a shared fear, and that's how bad leaders get people united is around a common fear or threat. But that's not God's way. And so this desire we have to respond as one with joy is what we're trying to share in healing. Paragraph 2. To be wholehearted, you must be happy. For your heart to be whole, you must be happy. If fear and love cannot coexist, and if it is impossible to be wholly fearful and remain alive, the only possible whole state is that of love. There is no difference between love and joy. So it's not possible to be only fearful. If you ever were only fearful, had nothing else, you couldn't live. So the only possible whole state, since you can't be wholly fearful, is to be wholly full of love. Loveful is a state of love. There is no difference between love and joy. Therefore, the only possible whole state is the wholly joyous. Wholly full of love, which also means wholly joyous. To heal or to make joyous is therefore the same as to integrate and make one. Because again, to heal our mind is to make it not separated, to integrate it into one. That is why it makes no difference to what part or by what part of the sonship the healing is offered. Every part benefits and benefits equally. So it doesn't matter, again, to what part of the sonship healing is offered or by what part of the sonship healing is offered. Every part benefits and benefits equally. So when you heal, and it doesn't matter where that healing comes from, when you heal, it benefits all of the sonship. That healing equally benefits everyone. Isn't that cool? So the thing that this made me think of, because this is a lesson I have been learning lately, many layers, it is layers deep, is that this idea that I have to sacrifice myself, my needs and my wants and desire, like the longings of my heart, I have to sacrifice myself in order to make sure everyone else is okay, especially my children and my spouse. And so every part benefits and benefits equally, no matter what part of the sonship is healed. By denying myself my own healing in order to try and heal others, like their healing comes first, right? I'm actually denying everyone healing. It's only one way I thought of this. This isn't necessarily what this said, but by allowing myself to heal and take care of myself, I'm actually healing everyone. I'm helping to heal my children. I'm helping my spouse. This was a thought, an awareness that came to me a while ago, but like I said, there have been many layers, so it's not like I have learned this lesson perfectly. But I had this awareness that when I try to basically like coddle other people, like protect them and make sure they're okay and not let hard things happen to them and things like that, like put their needs before my own, or what I think their needs are before my own, I'm actually doing them a disservice, because it's through like bumping up against hard things that we realize where we need to be healed, that we have that awareness of, oh, this isn't good. Like, this makes me really unhappy. I should change something about this. When I try and protect the people I love from pain, I'm actually enabling them to stay unhealed. Does that make sense? And it's when I I stay in integrity with what is right and correct for me and make sure that I take care of my needs and I do my own healing and I don't bend my boundaries just to make sure they stay comfortable and happy. It's when I hold those boundaries, and they may bump up against the boundaries and not be very happy about it, but that's when they start to be aware of, oh, something I'm doing isn't working here. And then they can start to heal. They can start to become aware of what's not working because I'm not, you know, bending the boundaries to keep them comfortable. It's when we get pushed out of our comfort zones that we start to really heal. And so that's what I thought of with this. That is why it makes no difference to what part or by what part of the sonship the healing is offered. Every part benefits and benefits equally. So go ahead and take care of yourself, because everyone will benefit. When you are healing, everyone benefits. Paragraph 3. You are being blessed by every beneficent thought of any of your brothers anywhere. Any good thought that anyone is thinking anywhere on the planet is blessing you. And any good thought that you have, any beneficent thought, is blessing everyone everywhere. So the power of our minds, right? You should want to bless them in return out of gratitude. So their beneficent thoughts are blessing you, and you should want to bless them in return out of gratitude. You need not know them individually, or they you. The light is so strong that it radiates throughout the sonship and returns thanks to the Father for radiating his joy upon it. Only God's holy children are worthy channels of his beautiful joy, because only they are beautiful enough to hold it by sharing it. The only way you can hold God's joy is to share it. To give is to receive. So to hold it, you must share it. It's going to go into that more in the next section, so just hold that thought. It is impossible for a child of God to love his neighbor except as his self. So remember, in the scriptures in the New Testament, Christ says, love thy neighbor as thyself. And this is saying it is impossible for a child of God to love his neighbor except as his self. If you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. That is why the healer's prayer is, let me know this brother as I know myself. That is the prayer of a healer. Let me know this brother as I know myself. And that is the end of the introduction to chapter 5. I'll see you next time for section 1. Please comment if you had any thoughts.